Hello and welcome, all friends and devotees of yoga and meditation everywhere. Today is the 22nd of August 2015, Saturday the 22nd. And for those who are new to this, this is a program we are doing investigating further Grandmaster Ching Kong's findings regarding Buddhism. That Buddhism is not a world religion. Buddhism is a school. Buddhism is an institution. It's not a religion. A religion usually is a practice that has to do with some divine, some deity. Okay, reverence, worship of some deity, some God. But Buddhism has nothing to do with God at all. It has nothing to do with God. So this is, for those who are really new, I'd like to really give you this, instruct you. Buddhism has nothing to do with God. Okay, Buddhism is just like a science. It's like a scientist. It's like there's an outbreak of a bacteria or a virus, like there was AIDS and there was, HIV and there was cancer. Okay, and so scientists get together and scientists take this cancer or this AIDS or Ebola. Okay, I'm from West Africa. Last year we had outbreak of Ebola from West Africa. A lot of scientists worldwide had to battle what to do about Ebola. That's exactly what Buddhism is. It's a science. It targets suffering. Human suffering, period. Human suffering is the Ebola, the AIDS, the cancer. So as medical doctors worldwide will assemble in conferences and begin to find out what to do about Ebola virus, what to do about AIDS, what to do about cancer, that's exactly what happened 2,600 years ago, nearly 3,000 years. So you are the Buddha leading this. The Buddha was the chief doctor. He was the professor of this. And he had a team here. They were working, they were researching human suffering. What are we going to do about human suffering? How are we going to remove suffering from humanity? That's just the point. So, where you see doctors assemble in a conference worldwide, thinking of how to deal with AIDS, how to suppress, eradicate AIDS, eradicate cancer, or eradicate Ebola, that's not a religion. That's doctors dealing with a disease. Try to find an appropriate medicine to eradicate the disease. That's exactly what Buddhism is. So Buddhism was established by the Buddha and so many bodhisattvas around him, and they worked on the problem of human suffering, how to eradicate human suffering once and for all. So they struggled with this, they battled with this, they sought all sorts of medicine, all sorts of solutions to remove, to eradicate human suffering. Once you've got that, you've got the point of Buddhism. It has absolutely nothing to do with God. It just has to do with Ebola or cancer or AIDS. And that's exactly the idea. So if you may, let me, we are now on chapter 5. I'll read to you from the lectures, and then we will we'll discuss it, and then if you have any comments, of course, I've already given my email address, which is c.aburime@hotmail.com or colorcollege@hotmail.com. Just watch my previous videos and then you should be able to get in touch with me. Let me quickly read this because of our time. These videos, there are times on the videos. The title for today's lecture is The Confucian Elementary School System. In the past, the Chinese elementary school students were well trained to guard against the uprising of desires. Schools emphasized training in students' concentration and wisdom. Students started school at the age of 7. They stayed with their teachers and only went home during holidays. They were taught the correct way to interact with everyday life and the proper manner to attend to their teachers and elder schoolmates. This was called the education of moral principles based on human relationships. When the children went home, they would then treat their parents and siblings with filial piety and respect. From the ages of 7 to 12, students were required to memorize. Students were required to memorize and recite fluently the ancient texts. The teacher would first select materials which contain the profound wisdom of sages and saints, and then encourage the students to read and recite the material up to 100 or 200 times a day. It was quite intense. Children would have scattered thoughts if they were not assigned any tasks to do. The purpose of reciting was to focus their mind so that they would eventually obtain a pure mind, concentration, and wisdom, even though they may not have understood the meanings. However, the current educational system in existence since the revolution of 1911 eliminated this 2,000-year-old tradition and adopted the Western educational system. This change, upon close examination, leads one to the root of modern Chinese social problems. So our job here is to, as I said before, study from where Master Ching Kong has stopped and investigate further into Buddhism and really find out exactly what was happening. But as I said, it has nothing to do with a deity. A religion is commitment to some deity. Religions have deities. So never think of Buddhism as religion, because it is not. Thinking of Buddhism as religion is just stupid. It's absurd. It's as absurd as thinking of medical doctors, World Health Organization, okay, as some deities and religious groups, and thinking of the study of cancer or the study of Ebola or the study of AIDS as a religion. It's not. That's a study that is to help human beings get away, eradicate this disease, improve humanity. Okay, this is precisely what Buddhism is. So the target, the focus of Buddhism is suffering, human suffering. What are we going to do about suffering here? That's the idea. So when scholars assemble, they sit together, they ponder, they meditate, they concentrate on suffering. What are the points of human suffering? What are the issues? How shall these major issues be eradicated? That's what Buddhism is all about. It has absolutely nothing to do with any sort of deity at all. So it just targets human suffering and tries to find out how to help you and me overcome suffering. What is the cause of suffering? What shall we do now? How shall we overcome suffering? That's Buddhism. So if you're a Christian, you can be Christian and, study Buddhism. If you are Muslim, you can be Muslim and study Buddhism. Master Ching Kong has Catholic priests, Reverend sisters, nuns, imams. He has all of them in his foundation. He lives in Australia. He's one of the greatest Buddhist monks and professors of our time. So reflect and contemplate on these teachings. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on the email addresses I already gave you. I have to run. This is morning. It's about 8 o'clock. I have to, I'm a professional programmer. I do C programming, C++, C, C++, and Java programming. As a matter of fact, I've moved on to Python. I'm also working on Python and Ph.D. These are the programming, these are the computer programming businesses that work now in the United States. So I have to run. I have a lot of projects. But, contemplate on this. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. Have a pleasant day. Namo Amitofo.